Hello everyone, I am Sachin and I welcome you all to this session. In today's video, we will be talking about the data types and values that is present in Python. Note that this is the second session in day 1. Don't get worried as these data types and values are very simple in Python and we will be covering it in a step-by-step process. So what are these values, you may wonder. According to the data type given, you have to specify the values. For example, if it's an integer, you should give a number. Okay, let's proceed with the session. Okay, right. First, we will be seeing the classification of data types in Python. Firstly, there are 5 major classifications in this, but don't get worried as this is very simple. Okay, I will be trying to explain it as much as possible. So, in Python data types, the first one is dictionary, and dictionary consists of a key value pairs, and that will be dealt in a later video. Second one is boolean, the third one is set, and the fourth one is sequence type, and fifth one is numeric. In this video, I will be explaining more about in boolean and the numeric data type that is present in Python, and the remaining set, sequence type and dictionary will be dealt in future videos. In addition to this, there are some additional data types that is present these major classifications. For example, under numeric, there is integer, complex data type and floating data type. First, I will be delving in theoretically these concepts, and then I will be providing you how to write in a program or code using Python ideally. First one, the numeric data type. Under this, the first one is integer. As you can see, the numbers 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, etc. represent the integer. That is, all whole numbers are considered as integers. This includes the positive numbers and the negative numbers, including 0. This represents integer. The floating point is represented by a decimal symbol, that is 3.68. It's a decimal number. The third one is complex number. What's meant by complex number? A complex number consists of a real part and an imaginary part. The imaginary part y1 is represented by using I in front of it. I represents the imaginary, and other than that, the x1, x2 represent the real part. The next one we are going to see is sequence type. Sequence type consists of strings, tuples and lists. Strings represent all the characters. For example, it represents numbers, special symbols, alphabets, etc. Whatever that is there in the keyboard is accepted as a string, can be accepted as a string. Tuples is considered as a set, but it can support all kind of data types that is enclosed within parentheses. Lists are similar to tuples, but it can be differentiated from it by using a square bracket instead of a parenthesis. Don't worry, strings, lists and tuples will be dealt with in a later video. Now, in this video, we will be learning first about the boolean. This comes under one of the major classifications of data types that I present in the slide before. Basically, boolean have only two values, that is true or false. True represents logic 1, that is, in human language, it represents yes. False represents logic 0, that is, it represents no in our terms. So basically, boolean just have these true or false values. Now let us see in terms of a program to understand this concept. First, let me declare a variable a equal to int input, and I am giving it a value 9. So a, if I try to print it, it's coming as 9. Now again, I am giving another input a equal to int input, and I am giving a floating number, that is 7.5. It's giving an error, that is trace back most recent call last. That means you have declared a floating value to an integer data type. If I try to declare a as a floating data type, and if I give the value, not a equals 7.5, I have to just give 7.5. I will rectify it. So a equal to float of input, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and I am giving 7.5 or any decimal number as it is. Now 7.5, and if I try to print it, 7.5 is coming without any error. Since I changed the data type from int to float for a variable a, it can accept floating point values. Let's try with another input. If I give an integer, that is 3 to a floating data type variable, it still prints the value 3 but with a decimal point and one number after the decimal point. This shows an implicit conversion that is present in default to Python language. That is, it represents a hierarchy. The float has a higher hierarchy compared to integer. So, automatically any integer values will be converted into floating point values. It's a rule that's present in Python implicitly. Let me try to initialize a complex number. X equal to 0 plus 7j, and 0 represents the real part and 7 represents the imaginary part and j represents that root of minus 1. I try to print it, 0 plus 7j comes. And if I try to do like x equal to x plus 2, only the real part gets changed and the imaginary part remains constant. That is, if 2 is a real part, so only the real part gets added. Imaginary part is left untouched. Let me initialize again, x equal to x plus 5j. And if I try to print now, the real part is left alone and only the imaginary part is getting added, since I have specified as x equal to x plus 5j. So 7 plus 5, 12j, 10 plus 12j. If I give x equal to 0j, if I try to print it, only 0j comes, since real part is absent. If I give x equal to 0 plus 10j, and only the 10j is printed and not the real part, since real part is 0, it's getting ignored. Let me try another example to show what is the data type of a variable. So n equal to 2, and if I give type of n, it will be returning the data type n belongs to. So it will be specifying as class of int. It represents n is the integer data type. And if I give n equal to 2.0, automatically it gets converted into float, and if I give type n, it gives class float. And if I give n equal to true, a boolean value, and give type of n, it gives class bool, indicating that it's a boolean data type. As I said earlier, boolean only has two values, true or false, and whenever we assign these values to any type of variable, it becomes a boolean data type. As an analogy, we can see that true or false is represented as 1 and 0 in C programming language. 0 represents false in it and the 1 represents true. So in Python, these zeros and ones are replaced by true or false. That's it. Where is the boolean data type used, you may wonder. You will be studying in a later video about decision statements like if, while, etc. In that, you will be checking some conditions, like if it's a true condition, then execute a set of statements. In that case, this boolean data type comes into the picture. It returns a true or false value to a condition that you have specified and then executes the statements. And remember that true or false in Python always begins with a capital letter. That is, in true, capital T has to be specified, and in false, capital F has to be specified. If you specify this using small letters, then it will be indicated by an error in Python. Let me show you by an example why you should not declare by using small letters. Yeah, let me begin with an example. Like, first I will type the correct way of specifying true and false. It indicates true and false, no issues in it. But if you type like this, see, F is small in this case, you will be getting an error, false is not defined, since it's not defined in Python. So we have to specify a capital letter, don't forget it. Let me show you an example of how this boolean data type plays an important role in checking the conditions. Just a quick example. So consider this for an example. Say a equal to 5 and b equal to 10, and if you give a less than b, it gives true. Since 5 is less than 10, the boolean value true is returned. A less than b is a condition that will be checked in ideally and returns if it's true or false. The less than symbol that I have specified in a less than b is called as an operator in all programming languages. So what are the symbols that is termed by the term operators? Operators like less than, greater than, inequality, that is less than and greater than at a time is called as inequality, equal to, star indicates multiplication, minus, hyphen, that is indicates subtraction, division by a slash, etc. And these are called as operators in all the programming languages in general. So for any operator, it can be represented by the following symbols that are specified in the comment. There are some certain keywords too specific to each programming language like import, etc. Import is a keyword that can be used to extend some libraries that we will be dealing it later. So let's come back to our session. Let me take the same example and try to reverse the condition, that is instead of a less than b, I will be specifying b less than a, and see what is the boolean value that is being returned. Let me type it once again: a equal to 5, b equal to 10, b less than a. Now it returns as false since 10 is not less than 5, that is 10 is greater than 5. So in b less than a condition, is 10 smaller than 5? No. Therefore the boolean value false is returned. Let us try our hands in another example. A equal to 10 and c equal to 10 and a equal to b, and a equal to c. If I type a equal to c, it returns true. What's meant by equal to is called as a logical operator, that is, in other terms, it's called as an equality operator. It checks whether a one term is equal to another. So it checks whether a is equal to c, that is, the value contained in a is similar to the value, that is equal to the value that is present in c. It checks the condition, and since I specified a equal to c in the previous statement, it returns the boolean value true. Notice that there is a difference between a single equal to and a double equal to. A single equal to just assigns the value that is present in the right hand side to the variable that is present in the left hand side, whereas the double equal to represents a logical operator and it is just used to compare two variables with their values to check if they are having the same values or not. That's what's meant by the double equal to, and here it returns true. And if I type b equal to c, that also returns the same value true, as I have assigned a statement before, like b equal to 10. Since I have already declared b equal to 10 and c is also equal to 10, it returns true. Now b not equal to c, what's meant by it? Not is indicated by the exclamatory mark, and it tries to see that if b's value is not equal to c. But here in this case, b's value is also 10, c's value is also 10, so they are equal. And if I try to negate it, that is get the opposite of it, instead of true, it returns false. The below that, the declarations that I have been typing are the examples of how to not use the negation operator. Like it can only be used before an operator, so that it reverses the value. And if I try to find out the data type of b, it returns integer data type since I have assigned the value b equal to 10. And if I give a dynamic input like a equal to b bool, a equal to bool input, and if I assign true, it accepts. And if I give a equal to 5 and type a, it gives int. If I give b equal to bool of input and I give 5 as the value, and if I try to print type b, then also it returns a class bool. How is that possible? I have already mentioned that bool only has the values true or false, but how it's accepting 5? In this case, it doesn't check what's the value, it just checks whether there is a value or not. Since 5 is just a value, it returns true, that is, it represents a value has been specified to b. If the user doesn't give any value to it, and if you try to print the value b, then it returns false, as the user hasn't specified any input for it. Since b is bool and it's returning the value true, and if you try to negate the b, it won't work since it's indicated by invalid syntax. Now then, the next one is type of a. As we already know, it's class int. And let me try another one: a equal to true, b equal to true, b equal to false, a equal to b. That's false. That's because I have assigned, after the b equal to true, I have assigned the b equal to false. the most recent value that is being assigned will be the final value that will be present in the variable. So the recent value is b equal to false, and if it's a equal to b, it's false. True is not equal to false, right? So if you try to compare it with the equality operator, it returns false. And if I give a not equal to b, then it returns true. And then I'm changing a value to b equal to true, and then a equal to b returns true, a not equal to b returns false. A greater than b returns false, since you cannot compare whether true or false is greater than the other thing. Similarly, the other things represent another examples of how to declare. Now, we have learned all these Boolean, numeric, and this is a recollection section where we try to recollect the things that we have been learning in this session. We will be recollecting from the 5 major classifications of data types in Python. The first one is dictionary, then the sets, then the numeric, then the Boolean, and the sequence type. Under numeric, it comes integer, float, and complex data types, which are the subdivisions. And under sequence data type, it comes strings, tuples, and lists. And Boolean doesn't have any subdivisions. And we have seen in this video about Boolean, integer, float, and complex. The remaining will be dealt with in later videos. That's it. We have reached the end of the session. And don't forget to give your suggestions, comments, or any queries that you want to get answered in the section that is given in the website. We will be obliged to respond to it. And don't forget to answer the MCQ section that is based upon this video. That will be present as a link in the website itself. It will be good to practice then and there so that you can have a better understanding of the concepts that we have learned here. Yeah, that's it. So until next time, snap. Thank you.